with some water there. So hello, and the last video I basically showed you about learning through play by using the easel back here to do some abstract shapes, abstract lines, energetic stuff that I'll later scan and do stuff digitally. So this time I'm going to show you as an add-on video learning through play in 3D graphics. Yep. Because I do this a lot as well. So in 3D graphics, often people will make a plane like this, put an image on it, using the materials, whatever program they're using. Do this, put another image of the side. So this is the plan, this is the side. So if it's a car or something like that, then they'll model around it and copy the car. Well, that's one way we can use 3D graphics. Yeah, that we can use it to basically copy stuff in real life and make really cool models. But another way that's often overlooked, I feel, to use 3D graphics, be it Autodesk, 3D Studio Max, Blender, whatever, even CAD programs like Autodesk 360, we can sort of play in the environment, in the 3D environment. And I do this a lot. So here's a structure that I'm making for my latest artwork. So the latest artwork is going to be about Expo 67. No, it's not Expo 67, sorry, mistake there. It's going to be about World Expos, and they're not specific World Expos. They're kind of expos that didn't really happen. So you'll have to see it and see the results. That's going to be out around Christmas. But anyway, this is a structure that I really want to make into a 3D print, but it's quite big, so I might end up having to laser cut it or do something in 123D Make, sort of fold the things up. If you haven't used 123D Make, I'd recommend you should check it out. 123D Make by Autodesk. But anyway, so with these structures, I spend a long time moving, these structures around when I do 3D. So if you see some of my abstract work, I've spent quite a long time getting it right. What these things I call architectonic elements. So for example, when we have a structure like this, it gives a certain feeling. The way it looks here gives you a certain sort of sensation in a way. It's not really a happy or sad one. It's more of a sort of geometrical sensation. I can't really explain it, but many of you probably will know the same thing. But say if I move this here, then this is going to give kind of a different sensation. It's a different feel to that. So I really do spend a lot of time moving things around, just getting it just right. So it's kind of playing, it's kind of shifting the forms around in the same way as using the abstract lines. I'm doing it in 3D virtual space on the computer. So it's just another media that we can use to play around and discover new things. Yeah. So you can do anything. You can sort of rotate this. You can move this up. And you can start doing stuff like that. We can even add modifiers depending on what program you're using. We can go to symmetry or mirror. Where is it? Come on. And we can start, mirroring it. That looks a bit silly, doesn't it? It looks a bit like a robot. A rabbit robot. There you go. So, and you can start adding symmetry to it as well, like so, and you can repeat the process. So you're kind of just, again, playing around with the modifiers, the shapes. Look at that. So we're immediately making some pretty cool stuff here. It's getting your mind thinking about things and how it looks, etc., etc. So that's quite a nice form. Quite a nice form. I'm going to collapse this now. So in 3D Studio Max, we collapse it, which means just take it down to a mesh. So we collapse the modifier stack, and it just becomes a mesh. It should become a mesh. Let's do it again. Collapse. Collapse selected to single objects. There you go. And now it's a single mesh. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to export this as an FBX file, a film box file. Call it some random name like ooh. That's not very efficient, is it? So now that's exported from 3D Studio Max, and I'm going to take it to Blender. So we've got Blender here, and I'm going to import the OO file, and there's the OO file. So now we've got the OO model in not 3D Studio Max, Blender. It's just to show you how to work with other programs. And of course we can use physics, so we can do that in what I was just using, 3D Studio Max or Maya or whatever you're using. But I'm just going to use Blender here because it's got quite a nifty quick physics setup. So I've got this cool shape here, and I'm going to play around with adding a plane. So let's add an old plane. And the plane's over where the cursor is, unfortunately. So I'm going to take it to the grids, scale up the plane, bring myself back, and like so. So we've got this cool shape. I'm going to duplicate this shape quite a few times. I'll scale it up. So as you can see, it's almost like a sandbox, yeah. You know, it's a 3D arena where we can do anything we want. We're not restricted by real-world things. So obviously in the real world, we can't take a small model like this. We can't duplicate it like this and scale it up and down yet. So there's quite a lot of stuff going on there. I'm going to just select all of these, and then I'm going to duplicate them again up here. Whoops. Let's rotate them a bit. And the X-plane. Okay, so we've got lots of weird and wonderful shapes now. Whoops. Let's rotate that again. Okay. So now we're going to go to physics. So in Blender, one of the reasons why I'm using Blender here is the physics is really easy to set up. Having said that, will I do it? So physics, so we go to physics here actually, and we choose this plane, and this plane's a passive, it does nothing, but it's still part of the physics simulation. And then I'm going to grab all of these guys, these people, these things, objects, whatever. Oops. Okay, and I'm going to add active. And I'm just going to start playing. Play as in play here, but also play as in messing around. And look at that. That's quite fun. Okay, so basically, let's actually get it as the mesh, see what happens if we make the rigid body an actual mesh. There you go, so a lot more realistic movement going on there. Let's take it back. Let's rotate some of these in random directions. Okay, that's cool. Let's take it back. Okay, so now we've got like a scrap yard collision going on with random objects, and look, we've got a kind of cool sort of weird environment going on inside you know, the 3D space, and that's just by messing around with stuff. So it's basically getting some original shapes, mirroring them, or adding symmetry modifier, and then taking them into a physics engine of your choice and dropping them, and then then we've got some really interesting stuff going on. So it's kind of like a sandbox mode. So if we had drawn what we wanted to on paper or made a model and then copied it, it would have been okay, but I think it's best probably to draw something or make a model, a rough model, and then add to it even more in 3D, do things in 3D that you can't do on drawing. So you can do stuff on drawing that you can't do in 3D, but vice versa, in 3D you can do stuff that you can't on drawing, like physics. So there you go. So thanks very much for listening to this. If you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I've got loads of videos there, and also I've got loads of tutorials and stuff, and a lot of blog posts about maker technologies on my website now. So thanks very much. Any comments and questions, please leave below. And I also do one-to-one teaching as well for 3D graphics and traditional art. So thanks very much, and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye for now.